A very warm welcome, everyone, to the Second International Conference on Inclusive Cities. I'm Prof. Chipungu from the University of KwaZulu-Natal, School of the Built Environment and Development Studies. I will be chairing today's session. It is exciting indeed to meet on this platform as we deliberate on the capacity of the state to achieve inclusive cities. As I reflect on our first conference in 2021, I'm humbled to see how much support we've garnered over the years. There are over 15 nations represented in this conference, and these are distributed over 4 continents. This morning, as I was discussing with Prof. Magidimisha about having a physical conference to allow for a robust interaction, I thought that this was the right moment to do so. But of course, we all know that there are certain limitations. But nevertheless, this digital world has allowed us to connect close to 110 gadgets. This, in essence, translates to plus or minus 110 people participating in this conference at the moment. This 3-day conference will allow us to have constructive engagements on 6 sub-themes, which have generated over 40 presentations. These include the city of informality and the uninformal, governing women, refugees, and youth towards inclusion, inclusive cities and the built environment, government and institutions in promoting inclusivity, the inclusive planning ideology and processes, technology and data in promoting inclusivity. In order to have a robust engagement, the conference is lined up with 8 keynote speakers who will set the stage. These are reputable experts within the context of the state, the city, and inclusivity. In addition, I would like to invite you to the Expertise Forum, where we will engage with experts on critical issues of state capacity and inclusivity. In this conference, we are also cognizant of young researchers whose forum is essential, and if we are really serious about shaping the future of inclusive cities, then we need to engage with them. Please join us as we chart the way for the future with them. Above all, there will be continuous interactions during presentations provided through various slots. And of course, there is a question and answer app which you can use on this on your gadgets. This morning, of course, I'm also conscious of different time frames. I will be presiding over a plenary session whose mandate is very clear and straightforward, basically setting the scene for the conference, facilitating welcoming remarks from the University of KwaZulu-Natal and other partners, and also attending to keynote speakers before we go to our different breakout rooms. As we engage on these issues, let us be conscious of time so that at least at the end of the day, we don't deprive others the time to share their work. I would like to believe that some of the challenges which we face in state capacity are a result of failing to share our resources. And in this particular case, time is very essential. I'm told that Prof. Magidimisha won't be available to set the scene, but nevertheless, I think I will take that responsibility and try to speak on her behalf. And believe me, I will try by my level best to represent what she felt would be the right thing to do at this moment. When I was thinking about the state of the capacity of the state, to deliver inclusive cities, my question at the end of the day was really to question whether we do have capacity. Does this thing called the capacity of the state exist? Then I say to myself, maybe it's time we should celebrate this state capacity through women. Remember, we're in South Africa, and August is the month where we celebrate women's achievements. And this is more befitting, given that we are having this conference during this time of the year. But the question still prevails. Does state capacity exist? And everyone will ask the same question. And indeed, does it exist when women who are the minority still face challenges? Does it exist when people are out there in the streets demonstrating and protesting against the state? Does it exist when millions of people are subjected to floods? That is when nature decides to take the fight to people. Does it exist when millions of people are forced into migration as they look for safety and other opportunities to survive? And does it exist when millions of people are forced to stay in slums and informal settlements? The city is divided between the rich and the poor. And these are questions which those who are experiencing challenges would ask. But, colleagues, where is the state indeed when it is failing to provide services and to arbitrate in social issues? Indeed, when territorial integrity of states fall apart as people cross borders to seek fortunes, and when the legitimacy of the state is questioned by people in the streets, looting and damaging infrastructure. And of course, when government instruments fail to provide for the ordinary people. I believe that, yes, we do have those challenges, but we are privileged as academics, as researchers and practitioners, because we are able to question the state, and we are able to identify specific functional gaps and search for solutions, because we know that the state can deliver, and we do have certain organs of the state which are responsible. So, the state itself is an essential organ, not for one person, but for everyone. But at the same time, we have to remember that, yes, the state is responsible, but for us to achieve inclusivity, it is the responsibility of everyone. This reminds me of a historical event of 1956, when 20,000 women decided to take the fight to the then apartheid government as they protested against the extension of pass laws and other influx regulations. Yes, the state was there, but it was a repressive state. So it seems it's everyone's responsibility to make sure that the state machinery works. Because when those women took up the fight, supported by over 100 signatories, they were fighting against population segregation. They were fighting against labor laws. They were fighting against control mechanisms that were put across to curtail urbanization. And indeed, they were fighting for universal human rights. That particular march didn't end there, because today we continue celebrating what women did historically. But we are celebrating every inch women take to achieve equity, to achieve empowerment, diversity, and inclusion. So in our lives, we are celebrating women's success because their voices are not within the context of South Africa only, but women are out there raising their voices so that they can be heard as they move forward to make sure that they contribute towards inclusivity in our cities. In the context of these celebrations in South Africa, and as we celebrate women who are progressing, it brings me closer to this particular conference, where we are also celebrating the Search Chair for Inclusive Cities. In 2020, when Professor Magidimisha decided to take up the challenge and set up the Search Chair for Inclusive Cities, it was meant to gather more information about those who are vulnerable: women, children, the elderly, migrants, and of course, the poor. And over the years, she has been working very hard to try to provide a platform to reach out to everyone so that inclusivity can be achieved. And yes, this conference, which began as a series of seminars on inclusivity, have since grown into an international conference, where today we sit down and deliberate on state capacity. This conference is part and parcel of her mandate to make sure that information goes out to everyone. And indeed, through the Journal for Inclusive Cities and the Built Environment, we are able to reach out to disseminate information about inclusivity. Her latest book, The Anatomy of Inclusive Cities, which was published in 2023, is a clear indicator about this particular mandate, where we need to talk about inclusivity. We need to talk about the capacity of the state. When you tap into her various media releases, you realize that the search for state capacity is not only in the hands of the government or the state itself, but is supposed to be undertaken by everyone. Because those media releases on floods, informal settlements, you name it, they are meant to reach out to everyone, to conscientize us that we have work to do in order to achieve inclusivity. But the search for inclusivity is a mandate which we have to carry with other partners. And I'm happy to inform you that Prof. Magidimisha's work is in partnerships and collaboration with various institutions. So as we celebrate today and in the coming 2 days about this conference, let us remember that we have a mandate which goes beyond ourselves as individuals, but a mandate which is also meant to be taken up by everyone. As academics and researchers, as well as practitioners, we have to remember that what happened in 1956 is not only historical, but it was a moment in history, which we have to reflect on and act on the wisdom of those women so that we can continue to chart our way in future. And indeed, we don't live in history, but we use history as a foundation to chart our way forward. Yes, we do live in this world, which is shrouded in a number of negativities. There is talk about state failure. There is talk about blackouts. There is talk about collapsing economies. Yes, it's true. But at the same time, one could argue that, is that not a recipe for deconstruction? What we need are positive minds, minds which strive to build a better future, irrespective of the challenges we are facing. And indeed, better outcomes are built on shared visions, visions which can be achieved through partnership, irrespective of status. And that's why today we are saying that the women who stood up in 1956 gave us this inspiration to continue supporting their efforts. And today what we are enjoying as this freedom is part of what they fought for. And the World Bank is very correct when it says that everyone counts. Everyone counts in making sure that cities of tomorrow are more inclusive. Colleagues, let me not take much of your time, but allow me to say that this is the stage where we are supposed now to start engaging in various contributions about those functional gaps, which we refer to as incapacity in the state. And we would like to believe that there are so many avenues, but at the same time, there are so many solutions. And it is everyone's responsibility to identify these gaps and to make sure that we close these gaps. So it is a call for everyone to be part and parcel of this transformation journey, a journey which is meant to improve the capacity of the state. Colleagues, at this juncture, being observant of our time, allow me to call upon our university to take the lead in opening up this conference. As I did indicate earlier on, development is built on partnerships. And as such a chair, we are privileged in the sense that we have a university through which we operate. And the such chair is conscious of the university support. Over the years, they've supported the university, the such chair through various initiatives. And today we are glad to say that thank you to the university, and we'll continue trying to raise the flag of the university as we do our work. Colleagues, allow me to welcome Professor Musa Mashabela, who is the DVC for research here at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Thank you. Prof, you can take the stage.
I don't see Professor Mashabela online.
Okay, so if he's not yet here, maybe I can call Professor Kalema, who is around, if it's fine with everyone. So colleagues, as we wait for Prof. Mashabela, hopefully he will join us, then let me ask the Dean of the School of the Beauty, Environment and Development Studies to share with us his welcome remarks. Once more, we are very grateful, colleagues, that we do have a dean who is very supportive. He has been very instrumental in all the little efforts which the Search Chair for Inclusive Cities have been doing. The success of this chair is wholly attributed to all the different efforts which we got from our partners. And at this stage, I cannot shy away from the fact that the team have been very instrumental in making sure that we stand as we are today. Yes, we are in the school, but we are unified by his effort. Prof. Halema.
Professor Chipungu, I see Professor Moshebela is online now.
Okay.
So do you want to go with Prof. Moshebela first?
Yes, let us have Prof. Moshebela to go ahead. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Prof, you are audible. You can go ahead.
Thank you so much. My apologies for jumping in 2 minutes late. I had indicated that I will be chairing another meeting, so I requested them to allow me to step out in order to honor this commitment. I would like to greet everyone present, all the panelists, all the leadership, all the organizers of this meeting, all the sponsors of this meeting, and thank you for making this conference a successful conference in the fact that it is now kicking off. I am the DVC for research, but also I am here not only because of my interest in the agenda of this meeting, but also to speak on behalf of the university. And the Vice Chancellor would have liked to be able to do this meeting, but I've been requested to step in order to welcome everyone to this meeting. The whole leadership of the university understands the importance of us as a university in the times that we are in, and the importance of linking to the city of eThekwini, the city of Durban. The Vice Chancellor often speaks a lot about this, that in some ways we could be considered one such city university as we may see in other cities across the world. We may be a national entity that is considered very highly ranked on the continent and globally, but we also are a very local university. We through our different schools, our entities, including the School of Built Environment and Studies and Development Studies that is chaired by Professor Halema, that we work very closely with the city of eThekwini. We are very much committed to a local agenda, given some of the challenges we see today, not only because of the historical structural problems of colonization and apartheid, but also the more current challenges of climate change and some of the environmental challenges that we face. We are a city that has been very adversely affected by what could be considered consequences of climate change, especially the floods that we've experienced. More recently, we've experienced the tornado, and we are sitting and asking ourselves if structurally we are equipped to be resilient and cope with some of the challenges that are coming. Indeed, for us to be able to address some of these challenges that we are facing and we will continue to face going into the 21st century, we need to be creative. We need to be creative and inclusive. Inclusive in terms of a broad agenda as identified as part of the different areas of interest in this meeting. where we have to include economy, education, health systems, built environment, technology, especially governance, and also, of course, environmental degradation. These themes of discussion require a diverse audience. It requires collaborative efforts, and I'm very pleased to note that the main part of one of the objectives of this meeting is to bring together that diverse community together. And for us, it is those collaborative engagements that I believe are going to help bring different thinking caps, different disciplines, different ideas to be put on the table, different skill sets to be put on the table in a way that is cross-disciplinary, transdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, in order to solve some of the very complex problems that we are faced with today and going into the future. I'm informed that this is the second meeting, one having taken place a couple of years ago, and I'm very pleased that we as the university, as the city of Durban, we are hosting this event, and it's really a pleasure for us to have the opportunity to contribute to the solutions in this manner. I am therefore wanting to state openly the position of the university in support of this meeting, in welcoming all of you here and wishing you an effective and a successful meeting over the next few days. By any means necessary, if there are key outcomes of this meeting that require the attention of the executive of the university, we would be very pleased to receive those and for those action items to be taken forward. I therefore want to thank you for the opportunity that you have afforded us as the leadership of the university to participate in this second international conference on inclusive cities with the theme of the capacity of the state to achieve inclusive cities. And I want to wish you all a successful meeting and also look forward to the outcomes of the discussion. Thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Dean. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Prof. Mashabela. We really appreciate your kind words. We really appreciate your powerful words of introduction and welcoming us to this particular platform. Colleagues, and we also know that the door is always open if you want any support from the university. Thank you, Prof. I did welcome Prof. Kgalema earlier on, so I don't think that I need to go over again, but Prof, this is your time. Let's have your welcome remarks.
Thank you, Professor Chipungu, Program Director. Welcome our DVC for Research and Innovation, Professor Mosha Musabela. Distinguished guests, welcome far and near to this special, very, very special second year of the International Conference on Inclusive Cities, hosted by our very own NRF Sachi Chair in Inclusive Cities, in partnership with the university, the School of Built Environment and Development Studies, the National Research Foundation Cities Network, ISOCAP, eThekwini Municipality, University of Johannesburg, University of Venda, and the SAC Plan, which is the licensing body for planners. I recognize you all and affirm your presence on behalf of the university, in particular representing my leader, the DVC of the College of Humanities, Professor Nhlanhla Mkhize, and the entire leadership of the university. Colleagues, it is a pleasure for me to be here once again. And as you know, we live in a very, very volatile and unsafe world, and very, very vulnerable world. We have witnessed over the years that the least amongst us still suffer daily by the injustices of our world, that we as academics, as civil servants, but also as community workers can intentionally expose, but also offer solutions. The past few years have been very, very challenges in our continent of Africa, globally, but also in this country with challenges of unemployment, particularly amongst youth, the challenges of global warming and climate change, corruption that is flourishing, as well as rising poverty within our communities, deepened inequalities for communities that we serve. The emergence of COVID-19 in the past years did not really help and it also challenged the state as well in terms of its capacity, in terms of resiliency, whether the state is adaptive, agile, innovative, and reflective. The state was tested at many levels. We have, however, survived that whole COVID era, but also the aftermath of the pandemic, and we are still surviving. We are a resilient people. We need healing at many levels, and it is a requirement for all of us to move closer and closer, indeed, to more inclusive communities and be a responsive nation, but also be a responsive world. As an institution of higher learning, it is also cognizant of the scourge of helplessness and despondency on our campuses. And the university has, for a while now, initiated quite a number of initiatives to support our students, but also to refocus the university into the academic project. And we are very, very glad that that turn has really incubated such initiatives as this conference through the project renewal, but also through other activities, our new strategic plan, moving us forward to a transformative agenda born out of struggle, but also looking for the future, a brighter future. Colleagues, we are very, very happy to welcome you all into this conference, and we hope that further engagements and partnerships and strategic projects led by the SACHI Chair in Inclusive Cities will yield innovative ways of solving our problems. We work with students who are very, very anxious but also talented in shaping our world for their future. The theme of this conference is also very, very important to us. The idea of ethical governance and state capacity calls us to reflect, but more so to act, to bring dignity in the lives of our people. We have an esteemed groups of colleagues who will be presenting today and over the next few days, who, through their wisdom and lived experiences as government officials, practitioners, advocates, community builders, thought leaders, will reflect on what we ought to do in order to, in fact, bring some changes in our world and to build more resilient and inclusive communities. Such an occasion is very, very important in our university because it gives us an opportunity to engage with stakeholders. It gives us an opportunity to reflect on our collective successes, challenges, but also to plan how we can chart forward and leave a legacy for generations to come. I'm quite excited to learn about, I'm quite excited about this learning exchange and an opportunity to engage with all of you. And I'm sure our students, our colleagues, our esteemed colleagues who are part of this conference are also looking forward to our time together. I want to thank Professors Hope Chipungu, Makadimisha Chipungu, and Professor Lovemore Chipungu for your incredible leadership and your teams in making sure that this event is happening. It brings such warmth in our hearts that we as a university are leading the way in making sure we offering solutions into our world. I would also like to thank the UKZN Corporate Relations and ICS for really coming to the table, to really assisting us in making sure that we are this conference is a success and making this conference possible. Your incredible leadership and the vision you bring to us it's out of this world. So we're really thankful. Colleagues, with those few words, I welcome you. Siyabonga, enkosi realeboha. Welcome and enjoy the conference. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Prof. Kalema, for your wise words and for opening up this conference to our participants. We all know that we always rely on you whenever we need support. Thank you very much. Colleagues, without the support of the university and also of our partners, always it will be difficult to achieve our targets. Allow me to call upon Professor Trinos Gumbo, who is representing the University of Johannesburg. Colleagues, Prof. Gumbo is one of the key anchors of this particular conference, and would like him to go ahead and share his welcome remarks. Prof. Gumbo, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thanks to my brother, Professor Lovemore Chipungu. As you've heard, my name is Trinos Gumbo. I hereby represent the leadership of the Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment at the University of Johannesburg. We are one of the partners of this wonderful conference. We've been in the trenches during the conceptualization of the idea, and we are really honored to be part of this second leg of the conference, starting in 2021, as Prof. Chipungu indicated. We're there as well, and we look forward to keep on participating and supporting this conference as active partners. I'm sure my dean would have loved to be here, Professor Daniel Mashao. In 2021, he welcomed the delegates, and also the Vice Dean, Professor Shongwe. You would have loved to be part of this conference. All the same, let me just go through a few remarks. Chair, I'm sure my screen is showing there. I want to share my presentation. Thank you. Yes,
Prof, it is.
Oh, wonderful. Let me just remove this. Let me start by saying all protocols observed. I would want really to acknowledge all the partners and the participants of the second leg of this conference. But just to say, as you know, globally, we seem to be sort of, I would say, busy with rankings when it comes to universities, competition when it comes to private life, and as well, one can talk of meritocracy when we are enrolling our students at all levels, and show of power globally or the world over. So we seem to say there's a need to engage in the survival of the fittest. In the process, as we say, the fittest will in a way survive or emerge victorious. We tend to leave the others behind. And by such, we cannot rule out issues of inequality. We cannot rule out issues of exclusivity. So it's not surprising that we need really to have advocates of those who are left behind. We need to have practitioners who are going to speak and engage in activities or interventions that try to cater for those that are left behind as we compete, as we try to rank ourselves, as we try to bring the best in all our endeavors, as we try to show power, we end up really leaving others. No wonder why we have the poor in our societies, because opportunities sometimes really in a way can be very minimal for some of us. So I just want to say this conference, the Inclusive Cities Conference, is the right opportunity or platform. And as it is spearheaded by the chair of the Inclusive Cities, which is Professor Magdalena Chipungu, we embrace this as a brilliant opportunity to try and build this constituency or cohort of inclusive and just cities champions. This is very, very remarkable. So we want to congratulate the conference conveners for putting this second leg of the conference together. And no doubt, as I indicated, the University of Johannesburg is one of the active partners. And over and above other institutions, I saw that there's also Mzuzu University. Of course, the University of Venda has been an active participant for some time now. Then we also acknowledge the support of partners such as the SA Cities Network, Subplan, ISOCAP, and really their efforts are commendable. This gathering, if you have really observed, is very remarkable, as I indicated. So we want to also welcome all the participants and the partners and acknowledge, as I indicated, these efforts for, in a way, making sure that this installment is a success and big, huge, and growing. Just to, in a way, try and zero in on what could be needed briefly as an academic. I think there's need for a framework that could work, that could bring all of us together. As Prof. Chipungu indicated, that it's all about partnership, it's all about collaboration. I think in our language, one of the African languages, they say, or that's the Shona language. In other words, they are saying you need more than one to, in a way, achieve such huge objectives of transforming lives and making sure that almost everyone is included. We've had the different classes or groupings that have been mentioned, from women to children to people with disabilities. They also should be part and parcel of these development agendas. So to say we need the agency. Agency is very, very important. And this refers also to individuals. Besides individuals, we need also, I would say, entities such as the state that we are in a way deliberating today. Say, to what extent can the state deliver all those promises? Can the capacity be enhanced? But as academics, I think we have a duty to enhance the capacity of the state as well. Besides that, we need structures. Structures are very, very important. And this refers to policies. It could be programs that we develop and offer in higher educational institutions. It could be the committees that are very, very essential in making sure that the spatial planning interventions that we engage in bring in inclusive cities. Over and above that, we need a culture of, say, brilliance, a culture of trying to, in a way, make sure that we achieve what we set out to achieve as individuals, as entities, and all that. So this is very, very important. And I always draw this framework from the social realism theory that was put forward by Margaret Archer in 1995. So just to sort of, in a way, revisit, agents is very, very important. As I indicated, what are you doing as an individual? Because it starts with you. Just like I would say the scourge of HIV/AIDS, the world managed to fight it because everyone was brought on board. And the motto was, it begins with you, it begins with me, it begins with us. So all of us with some kind of, I would say, a duty to play in this whole aspects or debates around inclusive cities. So they can never be inclusive if we're not playing up our part. And structures are very, very important. And as we've been addressed by the DFEC, they deal with, and the Dean as well, Professor Kalema, they deal with structures, even at departmental level, we deal with structures and all that. The same applies to the state, to local government institutions, to provincial institutions. How are our policies, legislative frameworks, our committees, are they in a way flexible, responsive, and supportive to the efforts of everyone that is involved? How about the culture itself? It's very, very important to have some kind of, I'll say, self-introspection, because we can talk and keep on talking, but we need really to self-introspect and say, how do we go about our everyday, in a way, engagements in as far as culture is concerned? At the UJ, just briefly, this is an institution that strives to be an international investor of choice, however anchored in Africa, but the idea is to try and shape the future dynamically. So the idea is to try as well to inspire communities to transform, but save humanities through some various innovations. But as has been said, even in the setting the scene by Professor Chipungu, it's all about collaborative pursuit of knowledge. And beyond that knowledge, we need to implement those ideas. So the GES 4.0 in UJ drives all the efforts. And we have a new Vice Chancellor that is also pushing for societal impact or societal upliftment, which is very, very important. As we engage in those innovative pursuits, are we transforming society? Are we not just, in a way, being, I would say, concerned about innovation, about technology without touching on human lives? That's very, very important. And that brings us to the embedment of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and that are very, very important. That helps us really to delve and leave a footprint locally and globally in terms of community development. This is just an illustration of how technology can impact on the 5 Ps, which is very, very important. Let's touch on the people. The society must be at the center of development as we try and preserve and conserve the planet, which is the environment, and through various partnerships and in a peaceful manner. Let's make sure that really, and develop our economies as well, which is the profits. Let's try to make sure that really we touch on human lives. This is just a framework that tries to summarize what I'm talking about. But as I indicated, and the previous speakers have indicated as well, we have a duty as higher education institutions in our research to try and build the capacity of the city, of the state as well, at different levels. And as we teach and try to impart knowledge to our students, are we developing and offering the right academic programs? And are we supporting access and also success? It's one thing to enroll students, but are we supporting them to finish in record time? Normally we talk about throughput, which is very, very important. And in terms of a profile for global excellence and stature, do we also have some different insights and ways of doing things from our international students and collaborations, international staffing, and all that? It's very, very important to ensure that we have a diverse, in a way, I would say, complement of staffing and also students. And students, as they engage in our campuses, to prepare them to go and serve the state, that they have adequate and accessible spaces and facilities. Are very, very important. And at national and global levels, how is the reputation? I've had, I think it's Professor Kalema who mentioned Stack Plan, which is very, very important. We need to make sure that the programs that we offer are of good quality through accreditation, branding, and all that. And lastly, do we retain? Retention is very, very important. A competent staffing complement. So this is just my take to say, as we deliberate on the states, are we questioning ourselves? What is my role as a student? What is my role as a staff member? What is my role as a government entity, as a worker, and all that? So we have a role to play, and we need to ensure that we engage in all these activities and support all these efforts, initiatives, to ensure that we get to realize a state that can deliver. And it can not only deliver alone, but it needs also other partners. So partnerships, I think, is going to be one of the key or the buzz word during this conference. Collaboration and partnership is very, very important. The state alone cannot do it, but as universities, I think, as the University of Johannesburg, we can do that to support and make sure that the state achieves what it sets out to achieve in their national plans and annual, be it all that. No, that's it, Prof. We say asante sana. So we all have a duty to make sure that the state achieves what it sets out to do. Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you, Prof. Kumbo, for those brilliant words. Now you know why, as such, we thrive. It's because we do have partners who take this particular responsibility seriously. Thank you, Prof. Now, colleagues, you have heard the great words of wisdom from our leaders, words which are genuine and appreciative of your coming on this platform to deliberate on the capacity of the state. It is unfortunate that this conference is not physical. Otherwise, you are supposed to be experiencing the real hospitality of Durban, because Durban have seen it all. It's one of those places which one would say, yes, we need to go there and experience. We have seen COVID-19 when it started. We went through the floods, and indeed, we experienced looting. All these are part and parcel of the challenges which every city is experiencing. But we are still standing. We are resilient. But if you ask me how we manage to navigate through all these challenges, I would say I don't know. But I know for sure that the city of Durban is one of those cities which does have all those fascinating levels of infrastructure, of support, which you need. This morning, we are really happy to have the city manager with us, who can tell us more about the city of Durban and eThekwini municipality. Mr. Thompson Bongomusimbele is the city manager for eThekwini municipality. He is a professional planner and a city governance professional. He is the one who got the mandate to steer the city towards sustainable development through various strategic interventions. I would be lying to say on his behalf, but allow me to invite the city manager to take us through his keynote speech. Mr. Mbele, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Professor Love Mochipungu. Good morning to you. Good morning to other participants in this important conference, and thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this important conference. I'm going to be giving reflections on inclusive city from the practical perspective of the local government sector at the metro level. Someone is controlling the slides on my behalf. I'm going to request him to go straight to the next slide. Before
Zamaswazi begins her day. Her mind's been drifting.
Okay. I wanted to start off by sharing a 3 minutes video which really is a summary of what my presentation is going to be insofar as the inclusive city is concerned, about my favorite lady by the name of Zamaswazi. Can you take us through that video? Thank you.
Zamaswazi begins her day. Her mind's been drifting of late, consumed by thoughts of her future city. These daydreams come alive in her imagination, fueled by the possibilities of what tomorrow's world holds.
Oh, time to face the day. 1 hour to get ready and downstairs. You got this, girl. But first, coffee and a view. I can't help but imagine the changes we'll see 10 years from now. Renewable energy, super fast Wi-Fi, accessible transport for everyone, and relaxing green spaces. But if businesses in the city don't work together, things could go south. That would be horrible. Ugh, feels like I spent half my life waiting. At least we're on schedule today. Okay, made it. Is it too early for another coffee? This place is so alive, so busy. I mean, imagine. Efficient, affordable, and clean public transport that connected everyone to everything. But if the city and the taxi bosses didn't find a way to work together, it would be a shame if the city streets didn't belong to all of us. How long is this meeting going to be? It's such a beautiful day out. The city's future is so up in the air. We need to be globally connected with a humming economy. That is the only way we will create the jobs we need. The clock is ticking. Oof, this diet is killing me. Quick Instagram food pic, yeah. Everything changes eventually. This could be a really cool space. Getting my step count wouldn't be a problem. Except, if the city isn't ready for the extreme changes, this place would be a wasteland. Home time, bring on the weekend. Focus, don't poke your eye out, focus. Ooh, Uber, is there a surge? Please don't surge. This city never sleeps. I mean, imagine. We could be out every night, shopping without a care in the world. Tourists, locals, interesting people everywhere you look. But what if it wasn't safe? I love being out in the city, but now I need my bed.
Zama goes to bed with a head full of expectations. It is up to us together to build the future of her dreams.
Thank you very much. I think I would like to locate an inclusive city within a global perspective. And I'm sure most of you as practitioners and academics in this space, you already know this, but I'm just sharing a slide or two in terms of many theories and systems that seek to define an inclusive city. We can look at Sustainable Development Goals, goal 11, which is about making cities and human settlements to be more inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Then if you look at Sustainable Development Goal number 17, which talks about the partnerships, it reflects the importance of different stakeholders, not just only the state, in terms of achieving an inclusive city. Yes, the state is a critical stakeholder, but you need partners like organized civil society, organized businesses, academia, and development practitioners. And it is so befitting that we are discussing this within the context of academia. Then the World Bank defined it in the form of the spatial inclusion, where it says that spatial inclusion is about achieving affordable necessities such as housing, water, and sanitation, and the necessary infrastructure for all the citizens that are meant to benefit from that kind of services. And then it also takes it further to ensure that you won't be able to achieve a full inclusive city unless you have ensured that there is social inclusion, particularly the involvement of the most marginalized people. Then more critically, creating jobs and growing the economy is also very critical for us to ensure that we have an inclusive city. Then the United Nations in their policy paper 1, they've come up with a concept of what they call the right to cities, the right to the city and the cities for all. They've defined that to mean that the right to cities is a right of all inhabitants, present and future, to occupy, use and produce just, inclusive and sustainable cities, defined as a common good essential to the quality of life. So this is really premised on the Brundtland report, which defines sustainability as an attempt to meet the development needs of the citizens currently, but also without compromising the developmental needs of the future citizens. So the right to city is for current inhabitants, but also in such a way that we don't compromise the inhabitants of the future to also achieve the same. So they define it by saying it's a city that is free of discrimination based on gender, age, health, status, income, nationality, ethnicity, migratory conditions, or political and religious and sexual orientation. It's the one that promotes inclusive citizenship. It discourages xenophobic tendencies. It enhances political participation by all people who are capable to do so. And it also ensures an equitable access to all basic services and improves the quality of life and what have you. And then our national policy in the form of integrated urban development does emphasize also those critical aspects of inclusion and accessible city, inclusive growth, effective governance, and spatial integration. And that is encapsulated in the vision that they put across. Then let's zoom down to the city. We developed a vision that says by 2030, we'll become Africa's most caring and livable city. And someone interestingly was saying to me, with 7 years to go before 2030, how far are you in terms of ensuring the attainment of this particular vision? You will see in the slides to come that certain conditions that were beyond our controls have impacted significantly on our ability to attain this by 2030. Be that as it may, we had still, once again, in keeping with what was on the Sustainable Development Goals, the UN Habitat definition of the right to city, the national policy, IUDF, our vision back then was also premised on the themes such as creating a safe city, promoting accessible city, sustainable neighborhoods, cultural diversity, environmental sustainability, and caring and empowering city. So those were the 6 prioritized thematic areas that we felt if we were to become Africa's most caring and livable city, we indeed had to be an inclusive city. and ensures that this right to a seat is basically enjoyed by anybody who comes to become a resident of Durban. The national government then came up with a district development model, which we are part of as the city. We are a pilot. So once again, if you look at that, it's very much people-centered. It's premised on developmental local government, ensuring that people benefit, they are positioned well to benefit to economic opportunities. We attain spatial restructuring and environmental sustainability, infrastructure development, integrated service provision, and what have you. Basically, this model seeks to say, for you as the city of eThekwini to be able to better achieve your inclusive city idea that is embedded in your Vision 2030, you need other spheres of government to help you to do that through joint planning, integrated delivery of services, particularly across the 3 spheres of government. And in doing so, you are expected to ensure that you achieve all aspects of an inclusive city. However, this journey has not been without challenges. If we can go to a number of challenges that we've basically faced through to the next slide. Yes, I think one of the speakers spoke about a difficulty of attaining an inclusive city in a society that is very much exclusionary rather. We are very much part of that. We have experienced a deliberate, institutionalized exclusion of the majority of people from enjoying high quality infrastructure and over a period of about 60 years of apartheid. And this is the root cause of many challenges that we are still facing even today. These challenges have been now exacerbated by the fact that when the country opened up to, when apartheid was abolished, we then had an urbanization of highest scale. However, the infrastructure in the cities, which was an exclusive preserve of the few, is now no longer able to cope with the massive number of people that come through. And as a result, that perpetuates exclusion. However, over the last 29 years, we've tried our best to ensure that we do the redress to deal with the past imbalances. Then in the process, unwittingly, we also forgot to invest in areas that were the core of apartheid cities. And now we are facing serious problems of infrastructure that is very frail, that is exposed to overuse through backyard settlements and what have you, uncontrolled densities. And these are the problems that you are now finding, where you have sewer spillages as a result of infrastructure that was neglected over the last 29 years, because we were prioritizing redress and ensuring that everybody benefits. But what matters worse is that we were also exposed to shocks in the form of natural disasters back in 2017, 2019. And to make it worse, our city in 2021, who was the most affected in terms of the social unrest, and this took us back a couple of billions of rands as an attempt to try to claw back from those particular shocks. So these, in a way, have also caused us to derail our inclusive city project. Next slide, please. This really emphasizes what I was trying to say, that we are now focusing on building back from those shocks, and we're even instructed to build back better. But whilst we are trying to build back better, another shock comes in close succession from another, and which then makes us spend our time and money rebuilding from that. And there's no time for us to plan better for an inclusive city. Next slide, please. Let's look at the themes, some of the critical themes. This one I'm not going to spend more time on, because I do know that Dr. Sandy Lembata is going to be doing a presentation on the strategic hub. But safe to highlight a couple of points here to say that despite all these challenges, the shocks that I've made a reference to, the fact that there are visible policy failures in terms of dealing with the post-apartheid city, but there is an opportunity to improve the integration of community collected data into the municipal decision-making process. So this is particularly important in spaces that are vulnerable, particularly in the informal settlements, because the use of technology is the way to go. Right now, probably in South Africa, every adult has a cell phone gadget in their hand. And this is a big opportunity to ensure that we collect data, which we then use for our decision-making processes in projects such as informal settlements. We've used this opportunity to ensure that the data collected is used to inform decision making about those particular projects. We've also used it in places such as the Quarry Road West informal settlements near Springfield Park. The community leaders are also participating through this platform to do the risk mapping for fire and flooding. And also we've trained people to ensure that they become aware of their climate change and the risk associated with that. Where it has worked wonderfully is that during the biggest flood of 2022, where there were 400 dwellings, informal settlements on the Palmit River that were washed away, but not even a single life was lost because people were able to use this particular tool as part of our resilience. And then, so this we did in partnership with the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and thank you very much for helping us to save lives. Next slide. Then if you look at this picture on the right-hand side, and it's a picture that is very common, particularly in the cities of the Global South. This reflects inequality and exclusionary nature of our cities at the most. Our city started with about 182 informal settlements just after 1994, and we are now sitting at over 600. About 40% of our households are in the informal settlement. So you either embrace this informality and within those confines try to ensure that you still achieve the objective of an inclusive city, or you will just perpetuate exclusion. So I want to show some of the things that we've done as part of our informal settlement upgrade, to say, whilst you are waiting to meet all the housing needs of urban dwellers, a dream that you will never be able to achieve in the next 100 years or in the next near future. So, but you still have to ensure that the quality of life improves. So as part of informal settlement upgrade, we've ensured that we provide basic water, electricity, deal with the issues of accessibility in the form of pathways, dealing with the issues of crime and violence, whilst you are trying to build better homes for people, but just to ensure that people still enjoy a relatively good quality of service, even when they are in the informal settlements. About economic opportunities, I'm going to run this through quickly because I think my time is coming up. Even in the informal sector, particularly, we are seeking to ensure that we improve trading spaces, financial capacity building for small, medium enterprises, localized incubation hubs. The thinking is to say you have to upgrade the informal side or township economy and start to draw some functional linkages with the mainstream economy to ensure that those people who live in the townships and in the informal settlement who generally practice informal economy, you enhance their opportunities there and ensure those particular functional linkages. Next slide. These are some of the examples which reflect the investment that we have done over the years as a city in upgrading the township economy. I'm not going to read all of them one by one, but I do know some people will always complain about the molarization. By molarization, I'm referring to building of the malls as not a so sustainable and inclusive solution, because the capital still also flies out of the townships. But there are many opportunities that we've been able to create in this space for that still enhance the township economy, but also create those particular functional linkages. Next slide. This one talks about spatial inclusion, transforming post-apartheid city through the spatial development framework. It reflects a series of nodes and corridors that ensure that people enjoy services so close to their areas of dwelling, but also it promotes densification and ensure that it becomes easy to provide infrastructure for the benefit of urban dwellers. Next slide. This one now reflects in a more detailed fashion the benefits of that spatial development framework in the form of improving certain corridors and transport nodes to achieve spatial transformation in the city and ensure enhanced mobility and access to opportunities. So it integrates inclusive design elements in the vicinity of transport nodes to ensure that you have crèches, daycare centers, working rooms, and stuff like that in close proximity without people having to spend more time on public transport for this. Next slide. This one is also another rendition of a transit-oriented development. This is the project that already exists in Pinetown, linking the Bridge City and KwaMashu, just also ensuring that we do have those functional linkages. Next slide. Right. So we've picked up one specific area here, or a couple, but just to ensure that when we developed that vision of being caring and livable city, we knew that we wouldn't be able to achieve that unless we deal with issues of safety, eliminating crime and violent prevention. So we have invested quite a lot in human security in the form of integrated operations that we do to ensure that the public spaces are safe, to improve the CCTV coverage and response times, conduct integrated operation and reclaim public spaces, ensure safety governance through transversal approach is our specific focus. And then also on urban resilience, I've spoken about that in the case of Quarry Road, but these are pillars of urban resilience that we've also sought to focus on. Let's move to the next slide. This is my last slide, and which basically is also along the lines of urban and climate change resilience. We have experienced floods, as I said, which really threatened this city in a big way. Once you have our golden precinct insofar as manufacturing is concerned, such as the Durban South Basin, you then have those industries there leaving the city because they felt that the state was failing to protect them against the impact and effects of floods. We have invested over 100 million rands in the Durban South Basin to deal with disaster risk reduction project, to ensure that we restore investor confidence, to ensure that we position ourselves as a city that is commercially and financially viable, even in the midst of disaster situation, so that we don't lose industries that will give us jobs and grow our economy to ensure a success of inclusive city project. Next. So we are basically saying that it is clear that inclusivity is a cross-cutting matter that needs to be integrated in our planning, decision-making, conceptualization, and implementation of our programs to ensure a resilient and sustainable cities. Data, knowledge management, technology, and focus on people are our transformative enablers, as I've shown in the presentation, in the slides before. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, City Manager, Mr. Mbele. Colleagues, that was quite an eye-opening discussion about the city of Durban. When the city manager was about to come on the podium,
questions also.
When the city manager was about to come on the podium to present his keynote speech, I did say that I don't know how he's managing the city for us to be able to stay resilient in this environment. Now we do have the answers. Yes, it is interesting to note that in as much as we do have those colonial laws which are perpetrating exclusion, but the city have managed to build a more understandable way of trying to stay afloat and away from all those restraints of apartheid. Upgrading of informal settlements is one of the avenues. Data collection to enable decision-making and the use of WhatsApp is an avenue to reach out to the poor. Partnerships through government departments, targeted partnerships with the private sector and NGOs are also other avenues through which the city is able to steer towards sustainable development. There is investment in those communities which were neglected by apartheid laws, as seen through the UMLA's local development plan. And yes, safety measures are being put in place through CCTV. And above all, the issue of resilience through disaster and risk reduction is yet another avenue which the city is putting in place. And there is also need to improve the transport sector. The city manager talked about transit-oriented development. So yes, the city is moving forward with an inclusive vision to make sure that Durban remains the best destination. Colleagues, if you have questions which you want to ask city manager, I will ask you to put them through the chat box, and we can interact on those issues at the end of the keynote speakers slot. At this juncture, I want us to go all the way to Nigeria. Remember, I said at the beginning that the search chair is in the process of spreading its wings across the world, reaching out to all those who are interested to be in partnership as we continue searching for inclusivity in all cities of the world. Colleagues, Nigeria is one of the key anchors of the searching. We had had brilliant students coming out of our university, and they have been very supportive of the searching. And today, we have decided to bring one of the brilliant scholars, who is Professor Masibau Jelili from the University of Ledok, Akintola. Professor Jelili is a professor of urban and regional planning. He is the dean in the Faculty of Environmental Sciences. He is a renowned scholar with keen interest in informal urbanism and inclusive planning. Colleagues, I want you to celebrate with me because Prof. Jelili was recently promoted to be a full professor. And it's quite exciting, actually, to celebrate his full professorship with us at this moment. It happened a few months ago, but we can't stop the mood of celebration. Prof. Jelili, you can take the podium. Thank you. Prof. Jelili.
Yes, good morning, the chairman of this session. I want to say that I'm glad to be part of this process, the process of enhancing the capacities of the states towards attaining inclusive cities. I also want to say that I'm glad to be here this morning to also interact with colleagues from the University of Johannesburg, where I was in 2012, 2013, before I came back to Nigeria. I'm glad to be here with every one of you for me to share my thoughts on how to improve the capacity of states to achieve inclusive cities. Just like as mentioned by the chairman or by the person in charge of the program, I'm Professor Musibau Jelili, a professor of urban and regional planning. And the topic that I've just put here is enhancing the capacity of the state to achieve inclusive cities and urban planners model. So, and the presentation has been divided into a number of sections. One, introduction, inclusive cities and interrelated concepts, peculiarities of cities of the global south, alternative or informal urbanism, and the nexus with inclusive cities. The popular slogan, what to include, inclusion or integration. Then improving the capacity of the states with respect to what and how. Then we draw general inferences, after which I have what I call an inclusive planning model for inclusive cities for sub-Saharan African countries. You all agree with me that that cities are engines of growth is not debatable. Growth, of course, is a requisite to development. Growth or development, of course, must, however, be sustainable, must be meaningful, must be positive. And of course, it must have an overarching effect on all sectors of the economy and all segments of the population. In the third world countries, we know that of the global south, especially of the sub-Saharan African countries, that is not always the case. Evidence, this is evidence in increasing dimensions of inequalities that we can see all over. And of course, we have the lopsided distribution of the proceeds of the city's growth. When we are having city growth or city expansion or urban economy being expanded, where is the proceed going? Is it going to all of us? Or is it concentrated in the hands of the few among us? But what we have seen, and of course, which everybody must have seen, is the fact that not everybody is feeling the impact of the city economic growth. So how to address this problem of imbalances and or neglect of some segment of the population is a source of concern. And from this emanated the concept of inclusive cities. In other words, how did we come about the concept of inclusive cities is towards addressing some of these problems of imbalance so that everybody that has the right to be in the city will share from the benefit of being in the city, and the city must be well coordinated. So just like I told you, I will be speaking from the perspective of urban planning. The problem of the less inclusive city is pervasive, and the question of informality is germane to addressing it. While I will singling out the question of informality, we realize that most of the people that are disadvantaged, that are disfavored in the process, or because of the problem of inequalities, you have them largely accommodated in informal sector, in informal settlement, in informal squatter housing, and all types of informality. But the informal economy, as we know, account for more than 2/3 of employment in developing and emerging economies. And for 80.4% of Nigerian employment, for example, that's according to World Bank report of 2022. Yet, the sector is not given its due recognition. And this perhaps was the gap identified by the UN Habitat for the 2022 World Habitat Day, which was christened Mind the Gap, Leave No One and Place Behind. In other words, everyone must be covered in everything we do to take care of the welfare of the residents of cities. So not that some people will be excluded, but what we have witnessed is that exclusionary approach to development, and it has never helped at all. So we are saying here that understanding the question of informality towards the furtherance of inclusive cities, which of course is in line with the with Sustainable Development Goal number 11, which is about inclusive city, resilient city, is not only pertinent, but also present. The theme of the conference this morning cannot be better coined, I must confess, especially now that the planned period of attaining the Sustainable Development Goals, that is, we are now in 2023, the period is half spent. The questions are, what do we mean by inclusive city? What do we mean by inclusive urbanism? What is inclusive urbanization? Then, of course, before we can have everything put into proper perspective, there must be what I inclusive planning. So one of the things, or one of the concepts that we are going to be looking at is also inclusive planning. So inclusive city is a place where everyone, independent of their economic circumstances, gender, ethnicity, disability, age, nationality, or region, can and is allowed to participate fully in the social, economic, cultural, and political opportunities that cities offer. Inclusive urbanism, a city system in which it refers to a city system in which different social groups mix and have equal opportunities to participate. It embraces diversity and flexibility, understanding that everyone has different needs and those needs are constantly changing. Inclusive urbanization. Inclusive urbanization is about issues in access to urban services and equitability of the urban socioeconomic structure through ensuring that all participants have access to the same level of services and opportunities as one another. Inclusive planning. This incorporates plan making and implementation process where all community members feel welcome to participate and are confident that their participation can positively affect outcomes. All these things are easier said than done. Of course, everybody wants an inclusive system. Everybody wants an inclusive city. You want to be in a place where your need, your welfare, and everything is taken care of. But we are saying that that may just be building the castle in the face of the hay. It may not be a reality, except there is a strategic intervention, or what we call deliberate intervention of the power that be and all categories of stakeholders towards ensuring that the city is well planned in a way that is going to be habitable, is going to be resilient for everyone. So we need inclusive planning. So inclusiveness generally is the idea that the opportunities and benefits of economic growth and urban development should be widely and equitably shared by all segments of the society, irrespective of their socioeconomic and other conditions. Inclusive cities and interrelated concepts still continue. We have observed that most cities fall short of the ideal of inclusive city. The socially exclusionary nature of urban development is evident all over the world. Even in the low-income countries, where the poor are excluded because of the problem of saying you want to modernize. And even in high-income countries, where the poor are excluded in the name of order. But we are saying here that it is more pronounced in low-income countries than in the developed counterparts. Inclusive planning is meant to foster the skilled exposure of the lower class to ill effects left in the wake of the privileged class, reaping the dividends of urbanization, as it seeks to optimize the welfare of the poor alongside the privileged in the built environment. inclusive planning is not just a right-based approach. Neither is it confined to mere economic opportunity. We have been emphasizing the right to the city, right to this, right to being in the city. But not just that only. And of course, it's not just confined to mere economic opportunities and fiscal planning. It is a development planning approach that is integrated in nature, embracing all forms of development planning and involving all categories of stakeholders, city managers, developers, academics, everyone, the populace. Now, what are the peculiarities of cities of the Global South? That is our own immediate constituency. And we want to look at it and see how we could be of help towards helping, assisting or towards identifying measures by which states we can enhance, or the state capacity can be enhanced towards attaining inclusive cities. So urbanism, just like I said, is an interface between urban sociology, urban economy, and urban planning. All this must be put into proper perspective. Alternative urbanism, we need to get that right, because most of the things that we are familiar with as containing what I describe as the received knowledge about how to plan the urban environment. What they have to say in most cases, they do not address the peculiarities of sub-Saharan African communities. And that's why we have the idea of alternative urbanism. Do you have any alternative? Alternative urbanism refers to a way of life in cities that is outside the confines of the expected norms of the received knowledge on how humans should interact with a built environment, or how cities should look like, behave, and grow. Informal urbanism, which is common to us, is not the opposite of urbanism, but rather a popular variant of alternative urbanism, at least in sub-Saharan African communities. Informal urbanism defines the nature and process of city formation, expansion, and human interaction with the built environment, which is less guided by formal institutions, regulations, and frameworks. One way by which you can promote inclusive cities in this part of the world is by addressing this question of informality or informal urbanism. Then we need to explore the meaning further. While informal urbanism or urban informality is the totality of urban way of life that is largely independent of the formally established frameworks and control, informal urbanization is the process of evolving an informal urban setting or settlement, where, according to Watson, 2009, all manner of income generations, forms of settlement and housing, and forms of negotiating life take place. But we should identify the fact, according to Dovey 2012, that there are two broad dimensions to study this, to understanding informal urbanism. The first dimension has to do with informal practices within public space, such as street trading, street parking, hawking, street begging, and all forms of activities that take place on the streets. But because people that partake in this particular process of activities is because they are excluded or they do not belong to the mainstream urban economy, and they just must find a means of surviving. And that's why you find them on the streets. So the second category is about informal urban morphologies of construction and settlement, whether on public or private land. The same thing is applicable here. Most people, if you are to resort to formal way, you want to get your plans approved, you want to get everything according to the dictate of relevant planning authorities or relevant authority of the city, you discover that the poor people may not be able to meet up with some of these requirements. Therefore, they have to resort to what we call informal urban morphologies of construction and settlement, which may not be as costly or as expensive as being in the formal one. So you have various these are just examples of activities, of the informal sector activities that you have within the city. Now, what we are saying is that what we have seen in the past, especially in Nigeria, where I speak from now, is that most metropolitan governments where we have them, or the state governments, what they do is just to evict what I describe as a fire brigade approach towards ejecting some of these people from the streets. But we have observed that this is not a sustainable approach. What you have at the end of the day, by the time you eject them through, we are talking of a forceful eviction of them from where they are now. What you see at the end of the day, maybe within a couple of days, by the time they regroup, they are more than the number that you have ejected earlier on. Then again, if you say you evict them from this place now, you discover that they may regroup and relocate elsewhere to also compound, to also create another problem, so to speak. So what we are saying is that rather than the forceful eviction, a fire brigade approach of ejecting them, we need to see them as being part and parcel of the system, of the urban system. They have the rights to be in the city, the right to do everything as urban citizens. So not just ejecting them. And that's led to what I call a popular slogan, let the poor breathe. The concept of inclusive cities is about a proper approach to addressing urban challenges. And the popular slogan now, especially in Nigeria, is let the poor breathe. We already, for example, even in some other parts of the continent, we already are witnessing how the poor are reacting to support the military intervention against the SAC democratically elected government of Niger Republic, celebrating the ouster of the latter, meaning that we are saying that we want the entrenchment of democracy, that African government, African people should also embrace democracy. But unfortunately, even those people who are put at the hands of affairs, how have they been handling the resources? And it's because most of we actually emphasize the fact that resources are inadequate. You do not have enough resources, and that's why you do not have adequate or good governance to take care of every segment of the population. That can never be an excuse, because the resources there, they have not been managing the resources well. And that's what we are witnessing in the Republic of Niger now. The military government, the military junta that took over government, the members of the public were even protesting in support of the military intervention that just happened. So that is to tell you that if you do not take action and do not take adequate action towards addressing those people who are marginalized in the urban system, then they can revolt. And when they revolt, it may be difficult. Then the question is, when we talk about inclusiveness or inclusive cities, what are we supposed to include? What are those things that need to be included? Urban development planning for inclusive cities, we include the following. So any attempt, any process, any planning process, or any effort towards addressing urban development challenges, all segments of the population must be identified, must be reached out to. All categories of stakeholders. We have the haves and the have-nots, the rich and the poor, the political class, their subjects, the able-bodied people, and the physically challenged, and every category of stakeholder, landlords, association, and everyone. We must identify them. However, it is easier said than done, because in most cases, you find this thing in theory that you have a long list of stakeholders, but how do we reach out to them? How do we ensure that their voice is heard? Unfortunately, in our system has marginalized them already. That even having identified them does not guarantee the fact that their voice will be heard. So now we are talking, I am talking, and as a representative of my colleagues, as urban planners, one of our responsibilities towards attaining inclusive cities is to assume that responsibility of planning advocacy, to be able for us to identify, to first acknowledge the fact that there is pluralism in the society, and also to be able to help to reach out to these people and become the voice of the voiceless. So now, that is not all. All part of the city, whether the plan, what we have inherited through the colonial, from the colonial government is the fact that you have some areas you describe as government reserve areas, just like you have in South Africa and other places, that you have this policy of apartheid, that you have those areas that are meant for the white and for the black. So we are still carrying this thing forward, and that's why you see some part of the city are benefiting far more than most other parts of the city, whereas the inhabitants of each of the part of the city, they have equal right to be in the city. So when we are talking of what to include, we should also talk about all types of physical urban development plans. They must speak together. Infrastructure plan, housing plan, urban development plan, and of course there should be an overarching plan that takes care of everything. So now we are talking about all types of city economic plans and development plans. All of them must be integrated together, and there should be a way of making them speak to one another. So we are saying that a holistic urban development framework or regulation within which all other types of plans are formulated and implemented, and in which all interests are protected. What to include again? City economy world over is getting more and more capitalistic in nature. That's a problem there in the aspect of what to include. You'll agree with me that the city economy is getting more capitalistic in nature, and of course, it's shedding at a very fast rate what is either known to be socialistic tendencies. Now, if everything is based on the principles of laissez-faire, the principles of economy that the survival of the fittest, the arrangement of land uses in cities must not be based on the economic factor only, because of the capitalistic tendencies of virtually every urban economy now. So meaning that if we should allow city to grow, to develop based on the economic factor only, there is no how we can have an inclusive city, because the low-income people, the less privileged, they will be priced out or taxed out of the system. So most direct interventions, however, are not sustainable and may not even be an option in the capitalist world. Because we are saying that, okay, maybe government should do this, government should do that. We are no longer in a socialist or everything is of capitalist orientation. So now the question is, how do we marry the capitalist orientation with human-based urban planning approach towards ensuring that there is an inclusive city? And those are the things that we can do towards enhancing the capacity of the state. So without intervention, of course, we know that the poor informal sector participants and less privileged will be priced out. Yes, sir.
Yes. We are running behind time. Can you start winding up your work? 2 minutes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So to improve the capacity, we need to have a good urban governance. Of course, there is need for democratization of all urban development planning processes and entrenchment of participatory democracy. We have need transparency, accountability, and of course, we have improved political awareness, mainstreaming of the informal sector, just like I said. And so we have some of these inferences that we have obtained here is the demonstrated received knowledge of planning. Through by way of having this good development planning, we always give us what can only be a fantasy, except we do something extraordinary. So we have over-exaggerated planning orthodoxy, and this has blindfolded most of us in urban planning. So we need to look inwards and see how we can devise a means of having an effective urban planning tools and framework, which may be a bit different from what we have learned from the received knowledge. So we have recommended a model, which of course, part of which I have discussed, is a way of integrating all forms of plans, all types of plans in a way that will help us towards achieving inclusive cities. in a way that will take into consideration what we call the interest of the capitalistic orientation, and at the same time, the socialist orientation. So this is a framework, a model that can help us attain that. On a final note, I consider my position here as one of the major responses to a poster by two Pan-Africanist planning icons, Professors Vanessa Watson, late, and of course, Tony Agola, in their publication, Who Will Plan Africa's Cities? That's according to Watson and Agola 2013. And I wish to submit that cities in Africa can be planned effectively by urban planners of the school of thought who understand the possessive connotation of Africa's cities as against African cities, and who appreciate informal urbanism as a basic characteristic of the urbanization process in sub-Saharan Africa, and the need for its integration into planning process towards achieving inclusive cities. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Prof. Jalili. Colleagues, are we ready for informal urbanism? That is the question which we are getting from quite an interesting presentation from Prof. Jalili. It is an acknowledgement of the informality in the cities of the South. And we can't deny that. It is a reality, and indeed, we need to be inclusive of all the challenges we are facing. Informality is here to stay, and we need to embrace all the various means of achieving this informality. And the Prof have touched quite on a number of issues. He talks about inclusive planning that is embracing informality, not only focusing on the privileges of those who are rich. He talks about integration, also with the nation. He talks about focusing on institutions that build for those who don't have enough, but in the process, trying to make sure that planning is guided by institutions which are not very formal, institutions and frameworks which are accommodative of the less privileged. Yes, he did identify informalities in the form of street economies. He did identify urban sprawl through housing and the like, which is becoming part and parcel of our cities. The bottom line is that informality is here to stay, and it is our responsibility as planners, it's our responsibility as stakeholders, and it's our responsibility as partners to make sure that we put in place measures that are inclusive. And indeed, informal urbanism is one of those avenues which we need to embrace. Thank you very much, Prof. Jalili, for that brilliant presentation. Colleagues, we are running short of time. So what we have done is that we are going to put together all these questions and try to respond all your burning issues through various avenues. So for now, I would like to call upon Dr. Fortune Mangara to give us an overview of the breakout rooms so that we can continue engaging on this critical issue of the state capacity to achieve urban inclusivity. Mr. Mangala, can you please come on board? Apologies, it's actually Dr. Mangala. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. My name is Dr. Fortune Mangara, and I'm going to give you an overview of the breakout rooms for our Inclusive Cities Conference. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed participants of the Second International Conference on Inclusive Cities, I'm delighted to present to you with an overview of our breakout rooms. And these rooms will be part of, will form a crucial part of this event. The breakout sessions will foster in-depth discussions, and exploration of critical aspects of achieving inclusive cities. As we delve into these engaging topics, we aim to uncover innovative solutions, share knowledge, and develop strategies to transform our urban spaces and into more equitable and inclusive participatory environments. So firstly, we have our Breakout Room 1, which is a theme of the city of informality and the informal. This breakout room will delve into the complex realm of informal and informal urban landscapes. As cities evolve, so do the dynamics of informal settlements and alternative urban expressions. Discussions will focus on understanding the challenges and opportunities that emerge from these spaces and exploring ways to integrate them into the fabric of inclusive cities. By examining the livelihood, the cultures, and unique dynamics present in these areas, we aim to uncover pathways for their sustainable development and integration. So within this designated room, a total of 8 distinct presentations are scheduled, each poised to provide a valuable insight and knowledge on the selected topic. The leadership of this room is entrusted to Professor Chakwizira, who will serve as the room chair, and Dr. Ingwani, who will assume the role of room's co-chair. The second breakout room is on governing women, refuge, and youth toward inclusion. So this room will be a platform for examining the vital roles that women, refugees, and youth play in shaping inclusive cities. We will discuss policies, programs, initiatives that empower these marginalized groups and ensure their active participation in urban life. By discussing strategies to enhance their representation, rights, and contributions, we intend to create a comprehensive framework that addresses their specific needs and aspirations, ultimately fostering vibrant, diverse, and inclusive cities. Within this designated space, also a collection of 8 presentations will be showcased with Professor Manda as the room chair. Lastly, we have our breakout room 3, which is on inclusive cities and the built environment. As we all know that the built environment is a cornerstone of any city's identity and functionality, this breakout room, we will explore how urban planning, architecture, and design, only to mention a few, can be harnessed to create spaces that accommodate the diverse needs of all residents, from accessibility to infrastructure to public spaces to housing. We will discuss innovative solutions. As well as approaches that promote social inclusion and improve the quality of life for everyone. By exchanging ideas and expressions, we hope to discover new ways to harmonize urban development with the principles of inclusivity. Within this room, we also have a series of 8 presentations under the stewardship of myself, Dr. Fortune Mangara, and Mr. Mutsa, who will serve as the co-chair. For those of you who might not have the links to the breakout rooms, I'm sure you can get the links in the chat box so that you can join whichever breakout room that you want to share your discussions or to engage with. So as we navigate through these breakout sessions, we'll encourage you to actively share your insights and contribute to the collective knowledge that will emerge from these discussions. Each room presents an opportunity to better understand the challenges and potentials within its respective themes. By collaborating across disciplines, we can inspire positive change, shape urban policies, and foster environments that celebrate the richness of diversity and opportunity. We thank you for your participation and dedication to this cause of creating truly inclusive cities and your contributions in these breakout rooms. And the conference at large will undoubtedly impact the direction of our urban areas will take in the years to come. So let's take this opportunity to learn, to connect, and to inspire change together. Once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Fortune Mangara. I think, colleagues, the time has come for us to go into our respective rooms where we can continue debating on various issues. I would like to thank you for participating in the first session, plenary session of the day. It was quite a very good discussion, very good presentations. And I really thank you for being part and parcel of the first session of this conference platform. Thank you very much.
Shakila?
Yes, Prof.
Are you seeing the message? Oh, I see.
Yes,
I was
I'm
saying
seeing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But it seems all fine on our side. There are people joining, so it's obviously an issue on that side.
Oh, Jonathan, this is, Dr. Makanjera. How are you? You choose the room you want, then you press on the link. That's how you join. Colleagues, can you hear me?
Yes, Prof, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think what's happening, I see the email, the request from Dr. Hayanga, when she says requesting password. I know she may not able to respond, but she's hearing me. But what she needs to do is to click on the link. If it's asking you for a password, don't press that. There's a notice below there which says join in as attendees. You need to press that. That's when you'll be able to get into the meeting. Andrea, I requested that you...
Prof, I think you better put that in that chat just for other people who might have missed it as well.
Yeah, I'll put that. I also ask Andrea, sorry, Fori, if you can inbox me your number, I will call you and then I will take you through the process. But if you just press, it will obviously ask you for all that information because it's assuming you are the host. But if you press in as attendee, you will be able to get in. So I will also type that. I hope colleagues help me. Thanks. Press my name under 2, where it says 2 for message. So you just click on my name. Then you can, I'll just type your name here. Yeah, then you can choose. There's a option for everyone. So maybe you can send under, okay, let me give you my email. Then you can drop me yeah, if you can drop me your your numbers there. Shakila, you can reshare the links. I will write the Shakila, am I able to share the screenshot so I can show them where to press? Is it possible? Shakila?
Yeah, Prof. Okay, we're just trying to. So your question was?
I was checking. I want to share with you some screenshot. So where they should
You want to email it? You want to email it to me?
Yeah, so you can share.
Yeah.
Then you show them where to press. Then they can get
All right. Okay.
into the meeting.
Okay.
How's Shakila,
Yes, Prof.
are you able to share the Zoom the IDs for them to join?
For each room.
Yeah. Meeting ID instead of using the link.
IDs for each room.
Yeah, if you can send that
Okay,
as
I'm
well.
going to get those people that are managing those rooms, and let me get it from them and I'll post it.
Yeah, I think if they get in through that, they should be fine. Most of those who are struggling. So
Okay.
yeah. Also, there's someone's asking for the link for the Facebook, for the
That is tomorrow,
YouTube.
Prof. Technology and data is tomorrow. I'm responding to that now.
Oh no, they were just asking the link for the YouTube.
Oh, the YouTube, yeah, I'm putting that on now.
Okay, no, it's fine. Dr. Hayanga, we will try to get the meeting ID. I'm with Miss Andrea here on the phone, so I'm trying to get you the.
I need the links, please.
Yes, we'll give you Prof Hayanga. We'll be giving you the link for the YouTube as well. Shakila,
Yes, Prof.
can we share the YouTube links for the rooms?
Yes, Prof. I'm just getting it from the guys here. They're sending it. They're sending it on the chat, so I'm having to copy it and paste. Actually,
okay.
put it on the chat. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if we can just get them the YouTube link for now, then try to sort out the registrations, the IDs.
Yeah. Okay.
So that they can able to ask questions. But I'll also ask the chairs to keep their eyes on the YouTube.
Okay.
Shakila,
Yes, Prof.
why do we still have 31 people?
I don't know why they're not joining the groups.
This is a lot of people online.
Yeah, they're still in the plenary session for some reason.
Mhm.
Those participants that are still online in the plenary session, are you having any issues? Can you just record that in the chat so that we can help you?
Okay. Thank you, Wongeka. I'm not sure what is Nadia asking, Shakila. I don't seem to understand the question.
Which one, Prof?
Nadia, can you see Nadia
No, I
best?
asked those people that are still in the plenary session whether they have any problems joining. If they let us know, then we can assist them.
Yeah, but can you see Nadia what she's saying? She's saying, will it be on this Zoom as well? I'm not sure. Nadia, can you just clarify your question so we can assist? I don't seem to understand what you're saying.
Maybe I'll just copy the links again to Nadia. Nadia, you can join online. Let me send you the link to join the rooms.
Oh, I think she's asking, will the webinar continue on the live tube? Oh, okay. No, then she can leave the
Yes,
plenary.
it will be live on YouTube for the rest of the session. Thank you.
So we are still live, Shakila. Are we live?
I am live with those that are. I'm not recording, and I'm not broadcasting. Just the plenary rooms. The breakaway rooms are being broadcast right now.
Oh, okay. No, it's fine then. Because the reason why I'm here, I'm worried about